car number 56, Kenton Cook. Front row of the grid for the second time in the last 3 races. Car number 14, the Riley Motorsports Toyota Supra GT4. That's Alfredo Najri.
Hello everybody and welcome along to the Michelin Pilot Challenge. It's the Lime Rock Part 120. John Hindhaugh and Jeremy Shaw in the Haggerty Global Broadcast Centre. Good to have your company. It's a tight and very technical circuit here, just on 1.5 miles, around 7 corners. Turn 1 is an opportunity for overtaking. That's the big bend, double apex right-hander. Through the left and right-handers onto no-name straight. Then the uphill. And here we don't run the chicane for Michelin Pilot Challenge. Then the back straight, west bend, then down the hill under the Haggerty Bridge and onto the start-finish line. Cars are rolling out of the pit lane. Jeremy Shaw and John Hindhaugh in the Haggerty Global Broadcast Centre. Shea Adam down along pit lane with the temperatures in the air, 24 Celsius, and on the track, 33, much cooler than yesterday. A little bit of cloud just keeping it a little bit under control. That's 77 Fahrenheit in the air, 93 on the track. And Shea Adam, have you got an empty pit lane there? So 2 hours on the clock and 2 safety cars out on the circuit. Supra leading round the TC category with 15 cars there and 22 GT4 cars at the sharp end of the field. And we will keep resetting the field if we have full course yellows. And that's going to be a real issue because Robert Wickens put in the 5th fastest qualifying time overall. So he should be where Trevor Andrusko is in terms of the qualifying run. And every time we reset that, the TCRs are going to get disadvantaged by the slow GS cars at the back of the grid. So let's hope for green flags for this 120 minutes. So coming round to the green flag. Good afternoon, good morning rather, if you are joining us here at Lime Rock Park. Good afternoon or good evening, wherever else you are in the world. Good job I don't have to talk for a living. Porsche, Toyota, Mercedes, Porsche, Ford, BMW, Aston and Porsche in the top 10. First 6 Hyundais in TCR. 1 or 2 different colour schemes to help us tell them apart. Slightly overcast afternoon. Afternoon, I keep saying that, morning. We will go in the afternoon. And it looks like we'll be going green next time round, Jeremy. And as far as this track is concerned, it's not just the pace of the front TCR cars that are going to be an issue for the GS. They are very quick through the first sector as well. And Robert Wickens had the best first sector of anyone in qualifying. So this is going to be really interesting when we get to restarts.
That's right, John. The good news is there will be a split start here, so the GS cars will start ahead of the TCRs. That'll give the TCR field a bit of time for the GS guys at the back of their order to sort themselves out before they start passing them. Getting ready for the green, though.
The NSX, the blue NSX, pulls into the pit lane, 2 hours on the clock. And the RS1 Porsche gets ready to see the green flag. They're down towards turn 1. He gets the inside. Well done to John to start with. Alfredo Nagri tries to come round the outside for Riley Motorsports. Here's the TCRs. Partway down towards the Sam Posey Bridge. And the screaming 2-litre engines are now unleashed. And, well, it's still all the Hyundais at the front of the field. They may have shuffled themselves around, but who knows, until they go through the first timing sector. Good start by the RS1 Porsche, though, Jeremy, and has eked out a bit of an advantage on the rest of the teams behind them, which is led by Alfredo Nagri in that Latin American Riley Motorsports Toyota Super GR. And a bit of defence going on there as Ken Cook back from Murillo Racing in the bright orange AMG tries to go around the inside, and there's just the cutback, the over and under. Can't get it done though. Alfredo just a little bit too experienced for that. Nice driving by both.
Indeed so, and a very good start by John Capestro Dubets, or JCD as he likes to be known. He has just stepped into this car, fairly late call to do this. Good to see that car back again, having not made the trip north of the border, so pretty much took themselves out of championship reckoning there, which was surprising. But JCD, he told me this morning the plan was to get a good jump at the start and pull away, but problems early on for the number 95 Turner Motorsport BMW. That's Dylan McAvern. They've had no luck at all in recent races. Didn't even start at Canadian Tire Motorsport Park due to a crash in practice.
Shea Adam is down there. There were certainly some tyres changed. I heard the air wrenches. We'll get to her in a moment. Side by side again, coming down into the first corner as the BMW rejoins right in behind the battle that now sees Kenton Cook having gone through in the 56 Morello racing car, and Hugh Plum's right in there as well. Shea Adam, what was going on down at Turner? Was that a puncture? Shea Adam down in the pit lane. So at the front of the field, it is the RS1 Porsche that leads. Now that Turner Motorsport car coming out of the final corner at turn 7. The downhill right-hander out of position and about to be eaten up by the field. Green flag pit stops here, Jeremy, are going to cost you a lap.
Lap times here, 53.6 in qualifying for John Capestro Dubets. That was a new track record. Took over the mark set previously by Owen Trinkler at a 53.9. So, yeah, that goes past very, very quickly. You are going to lose more than a lap by making any sort of an unscheduled pit stop.
So already 4 minutes in and already plenty of laps completed. They go by very, very quickly here. Ken Cook in second, then Nagri, Hugh Plum in third. Fifth for Trevor Andrusko at the moment.
Yeah, so Kenton Cook did get past Alfredo Nagri then on that last lap, and already he's made some inroads toward catching John Capestro Dubets. At the fastest lap last time around did Kenton Cook. Was very, very early on now, but at less than 2 seconds it was last time. But this time it's extended to just over 2 seconds for our race leader JCD, and at number 28 Porsche for the RS1 team from Florida.
Jeremy, tell us a little bit about the tactics and the strategy here. this is a short track, but it's still only a 2-hour race. Is that going to affect how many pit stops we're likely to see from the respective classes here?
No, I would expect normal. I think TCRs can certainly try to do it on one stop, but if they do that, there is a minimum drive time requirement for all of the drivers in this race. Are all two-driver teams. Minimum drive time is 40 minutes out of this 2-hour race. So that means that if you come in at 40 minutes, the second driver has to do an hour and 20, which the TCRs can't do on one tank of fuel. So there's a strategic decision there to be made. For GS, assuming there's no full cautions, which is the assumption we would like to make going into the race, then they will need 2 pit stops during this race. New fastest lap there for our race leader, John Capestro Dubets, 54.0 there. That's already 4 tenths underneath Robin Liddell's race lap record in the Chevy set in 2019. Fastest lap last year's race, by the way, was Patrick Gallagher in an Aston Martin, a 54.6, so much faster than that already, and JCD extending his lead at the front of this field.
So 2 hours started on the clock, and these laps, as we said, went around very, very quickly indeed. Harry Gottsacker has the fastest time in TCR, 54.5-second lap. It's 54 flat for the leader at the front of the field, and that is the fastest lap. So just underlining what we were saying, these cars very evenly balanced.
Yeah, but already TCRs have caught the back of the GS field. They're now going to have to be working their way through those cars as well. I think they're up behind Sean Quinlan last time around. There's a whole string of cars ahead of them, so they're moving up quickly. Robin Wickens still leads that pack in TCR, but he's got Harry Gottsacker right on his bumper. Right behind him too, Michael Johnson in third place at car number 54. Isn't it incredible, John? 2 paralysed drivers in the first and third positions. Robert Wickens, of course, he's a very well-known name, having suffered that injury in a horrendous IndyCar crash a few years ago at Pocono. Michael Johnson, lesser known to all but perhaps die-hard fans, but a heck of a driver in his own right. He was paralysed at the age of 14 in a motorcycle racing accident, but that hasn't slowed him down at all. He's been racing with hand controls for many, many years. I think has actually won a race here at Lime Rock Park back in the Skip Barber school days some years ago, when he moved out of karting, having used hand controls there as well, into cars for the first time. So great to see Michael Johnson right there in that third position. And for Michael, being paralysed, he's completely paralysed from the chest down. Robbie is got a little bit more movement than Michael does. And for Michael, it's always a problem. I mean, you drive a race car through the seat of your pants, certainly. Well, he can't feel the seat of his pants, so it generally takes Michael a few laps to really get up to speed. So to be right there with the leaders in this early stages is massively impressive for Michael Johnson.
So not much change at the front of the field. Track position is key here. JCD doing what he needs to do. Now the problems for the leaders in TCR begins to make themselves very, very obvious, in that they are in with the GS cars at the back of the field. Robert Wiggins in that number 33 car. Harry Gottsacker in the number 98, sitting in behind him, picking their way through the back of the field. Through the first sector, they may have a little bit of advantage, but it is so difficult, Jeremy, to pass through that first sector.
Well, it really is. That's exactly right. And the GS cars are pretty fleet on the straights, so it's difficult for the TCRs to get a run on them there. They make their speed through the corners. You were saying yesterday in qualifying, Robbie Wickens, no one was faster than him through that first sector, which is the first few corners. Big Bend, the left-hander, and then the right-hander onto No Name Straight. That is the twisty part of the track here. It's a very fast racetrack here at Lime Rock Park. The average speed for the pole sitter yesterday was just over 99 miles an hour. It's pretty good going for a 1.5 mile racetrack.
So Harry Gottsacker. Let's go to Shea Adam, who's in the pit lane with Eric Foss.
Eric, it's been a very good run so far this year with the 2 wins on the season, but we come back to Lime Rock Park, which was the site of the first GS victory last year. How similar does the car feel to last year's machine?
The car is pretty similar. I mean, working with Ken Murillo is always just a blessing. I mean, he's so good at setting the car up. He really knows how to make the car work around here. So at this point, Kenton's out there just trying to get a good gap for us. I mean, we're sure there's going to be a few yellows, so it's going to be interesting how strategy plays out today. Took a little bit of a gamble last year at work for us. Maybe we'll be that lucky this year. We'll see. I mean, there are a lot of fast cars out there, and we'll just do our best to try and keep it up front.
At any point in the season, do you guys start point racing because you are going for this championship?
No, I think it's always just focus on getting the best result you can, and if you do that, then you might get in the position to win a championship. And that's the approach we've taken since the very beginning with this team, and we've had some success in the past, and we're just going to keep that approach and see if it brings us some more here in the future.
Good luck to the 56 Murillo Mercedes.
Thanks so much, and just want to shout out to Jeff Mosing. We're looking forward to him getting back soon with us, and we can't wait to have him back here.
We miss you, Jeff.
Yeah, Pat, we echo those sentiments. So it's still RS1 in the lead of the race, 4 seconds the gap at the front of the field. Kenton Cook heads the following pack, but the TCR battle
And just looking at the TCR cars, Harry Gottsacker has taken the lead now in TCR from Robbie Wickens. And those two pulled away just a little bit from Michael Johnson, who's got some GS cars in the middle between them as well. So they're really holding up that battle as Gottsacker goes past Gary Ferreira. That's the 18th position overall. Also in this little pack, I believe, is car number 64. Ted Giovannis qualified and started that car, but I believe they made a pit stop very early in this race, and Owen Trinkler is now driving number 64 and moving his way through the TCRs and the GS cars as well. So that's an interesting strategic call by that team TGM to put Owen Trinkler in number 64 car so early in the game. But in the meantime, out front, it's John Capestro Gibet's turning very consistent lap times, 54.4, 54.5, 54.6, and he's still extending that lead. That's over 4 seconds back to second position, Kenton Cook.
And at the front of the TCR field, Gottsacker then just sliding through into turn 7 the last time around and taking the lead from Robert Wickens for Brian Herter Autosport. So no team orders there, plenty of BHA cars there, but they are basically all racing for themselves and for the championship. A championship, Jeremy, in both TCR and GS, which is very, very tight indeed.
Yeah, it is in the overall. Alan Brynjolfsson and Trent Hidman lead by 90 points over Eric Foss. Eric Foss will take over the car that Kenton Cook is currently driving. It's number 56 car in second position. Alan Brynjolfsson himself is running in 9th at the moment in the Volt Racing Aston Martin. Can't miss that car. In TCR, it is Taylor Hagler and Michael Lewis that lead the points table coming into this weekend, but only by 40 over Roy Block and Tim Lewis Jr. in car number 5. And those cars right now, the number 1 car, Taylor Hagler, is running in the 8th position in the class. Roy Block and number 5, Alfa Romeo, in 11th. Thanks
to Andy Blackmore once again for stalwart work, sterling work on the spotter guides for this weekend. For both the races today, www.spotterguides.com. Follow the links to IMSA. And hello to Dave Alcock as well, who is tuned in, watching in sound and vision. If you're outside of the US, you can watch us flag to flag with the IMSA radio audio, as well as all the pictures, no interruptions. And we've still got an hour and 46 minutes and 20 seconds or thereabouts to go. And here's how it stands then. It's still the Porsche of RS1 going down into the first corner now, big bend. Number 28 car, this is the white, gold and black car with over, call it 5 seconds now. Let's not beat around the bush. JCD is absolutely setting this place alight. So a bit of cloud cover this morning, and second place Kenton Cook for Murillo Racing has about 4 seconds on the number 56 car to the 14, the Riley Motorsports Supra GT4. Alfredo Nadri in that Supra. Ken just going through the uphill. Just the engine, just the rear wheels just getting a little loose there as the engine revs rise as they go across the top of the brow. Then it's, after Alfredo, it's Hugh Plum for Team TGM. He's having a decent scrap. He's right there with Alfredo Negri, and he comes through the final corner with Trevor Andrusco in Mercedes AMG just a wee bit further back. Actually, he's just been passed by one of the BMWs. It's one of the Turner Motorsport cars that has come through.
That's probably the number 95 car, which is a lap down. That's the car
yes,
that made that pit stop early on. So Dylan McAvern is back in the fray, but he's just one lap down to the race leader. So he's running in that battle for third and fourth, just ahead of him. But then the two leaders are quite a long way up the racetrack. In fact, John Capestro de Betz, now the race leader, is just about to lap, or in the middle of beginning to lap the TCR cars at the back of the field.
Already 16 laps completed. So that car from Turner, with that unexpected stop at the beginning to left side, Michelin tyres, she told us, didn't she? And that means they're going to stretch just a little bit, but not very much. So that's really a massive disadvantage for them. They'll be looking for something tricky. Track position being so important here. If there is a full course yellow and safety car, I presume they'll want to stay out. Yeah, they'll have to stay out and get the lap back.
Well, yes, indeed, and that makes strategic decisions more difficult around here, because if you come in out of sequence, you're going to lose a lap. Most of the other tracks we race at, if you're reasonably close to the leader, you can come in and make a pit stop and stay on the lead lap. But there's Rory van der Steur running a little bit wide there in that big battle going on for third position in TCR, that is bottled up behind both Gary Ferreira in the Capstone Mercedes, car number 11, and the number 93 Carbon with Peregrine Racing Porsche. Those two running in GS, but these leaders in TCR just can't find a way past them. It's really frustrating for that battle, although Chris Miller has actually now moved to put through that little pack and got himself up into third position ahead of Michael Johnson in the and Mason Philippi right behind his teammate as well. They're battling as they head down towards Big Bend. Tried to go around the outside there, did Rory van der Steur, around the outside of, I think that was probably AJ Muss, actually. Didn't quite work out for him. Nice try.
Plenty of time left in the race. Front-wheel drive car pulled itself back on again. All of the TCR's front-wheel drive. And 2-litre 4-cylinder engines, transverse mounted. 4-door sedans or 5-door hatchbacks.
Yeah, and just watching the lap times of the leader, all of a sudden that gap that was around about 5 seconds is down to 2.2 last time around. That's because JCD is having some difficulty working his way around some of these TCR cars as well. So that's enabled Kenton Cook to close in somewhat, but he's still got a pretty handy lead. And Kenton Cook in that second position is about 5 seconds clear of Alfredo Nadri, who continues to stay ahead of Hugh Plum just. This battle, though, for third position in TCR. Still bottled up behind the number 11 and the number 93, but they are scrapping amongst themselves.
So the situation then is the leader is right. Actually, he's not. He's got some clear track at the moment. Number 28 RS1 Porsche, just going down the back straight at the moment towards the west end of the circuit. He's about to catch up with a huge battle of TCR cars that are battling for, where are we? Battling for third, fourth, fifth, sixth and seventh. So that's the battle that we've been watching. The leader's now on the front straight and has got that battle ahead. Kenton Cook's come through a couple of cars as well. So traffic giveth, traffic taketh away. 5 seconds down to 2.8, now out to 3.4. This is a very good drive by JCD. Very harsh circuit on tyres here, so pacing yourself in the early stages of any stint is really important, Jeremy.
True that, but yeah, the Porsche has, you know, it's pretty good on his tyres. It's probably better than most. That mid-engine layout is certainly beneficial in that respect. But this is JCD's first time here at Lime Rock since 2013. He drove some ST sports tuning races back in those 11, 12 and 13. Did 21 races back then, but hasn't raced in this championship since then. Nor has he raced here at Lime Rock since then. Was that the Miller? Was that the JDC Miller car?
I thought that was the 17 car off at turn 1. Just got a quick flash of the black and yellow coat to share in just a moment. But the number 17 car off at the side of the circuit, driver's left, as that battle went through. Chris Miller then dropping out of 4th position. Now, did he jump or was he pushed? We'll try and find that out for you as we head to pit lane and share Adam.
Down here at Capstone Motorsport with Chris Wilson. Chris, you have been involved in this Bronze Cup all year, but it's times like right now where Gary Ferrara needs to be most careful with the TCRs coming through. What can you tell him on the radio to help him from watching these TVs?
Yeah, he just has to run his pace. Obviously, we've got a great spotter in Steve Welk over there in turn 1, telling him, hey, you got 1, 2, 3, whatever it may be. He's got good eyes in the sky, leading him through it all, and he just has to run his pace and, you know, keep doing what he's doing. He's doing great out there.
You guys have been doing great all year, well up within the top 10 of the championship hunt. Are you looking at that at all, or just looking at Bronze Cup?
Of course, you're always looking to stay in the top 10 overall. Yeah, our focus is the Bronze Cup, but, you know, sure, we want to try and finish as high as we can, no doubt.
Hey, good luck today and keep having fun.
Thanks.
Hello to Dave Alcock, joining us vicariously, as he says, on the global stream with IMSA radio commentary. Brian, Red vs R, not watching, but certainly listening to what is going on. So what happened to the UDC car as they got sideways? Now, was that too quick, or was that a bump from behind as the Miller Motorsport car went through turn 1? Hard to see from what we've just seen. The Liqui Moly car, the JDC machine, going again. It would be the right rear if there'd been a touch, but ended up on the outside, the left-hand side of the circuit. Seeing any witness marks there, so maybe it was just the tyres at the back not following the front wheels round too much. That's dropped a lot of ground, I'm afraid, for that number 17, and Chris Miller runs down in 12 of the 12 TCR cars.
Yeah, there was a lot of cars in that mix there, at least 2 Bright Herd Autosport cars there. Michael Johnson and Mason Felipe were right in that mix. So we're quite sure whether he got a helping hand or not. It looks like he probably did. One of the cars was diving down the inside, and there wasn't a lot of room there, so it might have been a little bit of contact there for Chris Miller, but good news is he has got going again. And now the overall race leader working his way through this pack of TCR podium contenders. All of a sudden now AJ Muss has got himself up into 3rd place in that class.
Yeah, he's done that quite quietly, Jeremy. He just worked his way through there, making sure he hasn't got in anybody's way, he hasn't damaged any of the bodywork. That's a pretty good drive from AJ in that number 2 Brian Herd Autosport Elantra. Leader on the front straight again, coming to complete another lap. That's lap 26. They go by very quickly here.
Yeah.
Very quickly indeed. And it's going to be traffic all the way now. He's right in behind the Van der Steur, Rory Van der Steur racing car. That's 4th place in TCR. The gap's back down to about 2 seconds again. Kenton Cook now has to come through. Always a bit more difficult, Jeremy, for the leader, because he catches everybody first and sort of wakes them up and has to make them think about something other than their own battles, effectively.
Yeah, very true. And because of that, Kenton Cook is able to close that gap again. He's working his way through that traffic. Of course, he's a lot more experienced in terms of the Michelin Pilot Challenge series, having done most of the races this season, but not all. He is stepping in for Jeff Mosey, who picked up an injury away from the track earlier this year. But for JCD, he's done lots of driving in all sorts of different series, including the Lamborghini Super Trofeo series this year, which he's had a fair bit of success. But great to see someone like this getting this opportunity to drive a car like this RS1 Porsche. It's a proven front-running car, and he's absolutely making the best use of it.
I do think the Boxster and the Cayman are such a beautifully balanced car. If you've ever looked at the road cars, both on the convertible, the Boxster, and the coupe, the Cayman, you actually can't see the engine. So you've got a luggage compartment up front, you've got a little trunk at the back on the Cayman and the Boxster, but there's no sign of an engine. There's somewhere where you put the coolant, there's somewhere where you drop a bit of oil in when it tells you to do that. But there's no sign of any oily bits. And that's because it is a flat 6 that's mounted so very, very low in the middle of the car. I'd say AJ Muss from that 3rd position we were talking about, coming into the pit lane. This is early. Now, is this a drive-through? Irresponsible, it's incident responsibility rather, with the 17. So that was the Chris Miller incident at turn 1 earlier on, Jeremy. And AJ Muss, we thought he'd stealthed his way through. Well, he'd been a little bit more hip and shoulder than we'd realised.
Yes, indeed. I thought I said there were at least 2 Brian Herder cars there. Clearly there were 3 where there was room for 2. I think it's probably the most likely scenario down there on the entrance to Big Ben. So yeah, he's going to have to serve a penalty as the former Olympic champion, Olympic snowboarder, and I tell you what, his driving has really improved this season. He's from San Clemente, California, represented the US in the 2018 Winter Olympics, but he's taken to motor racing and is, getting up to speed very quickly indeed. Okay, you're going to make mistakes. He probably made one there, but he's shown very, very good speed to get himself up and make several passes in the early stages of this race, John.
Listen, nobody's saying it was deliberate, and race control aren't saying that either. In the rough and tumble of going down into turn 1 when you've got 3 cars across the track, a tiny little touch even on these front-wheel drive TCR cars just unsettles the car. These guys aren't pottering around, Jeremy. They're on the absolute ragged edge of adhesion, and it only takes a little nudge to push them over the edge, and it appeared that was the kind of incident that we saw there. And as I say, nothing deliberate from AJ, but he has caused someone else to lose position, and that's why it's called incident responsibility, and that's why it's been called by race control. And they, by the way, have far more angles on what's happening than we ever get to see on the world feed. 90 minutes to go, just over. Here's how it looks. It's still RS1 leading. It was 5 seconds, it went down to just on 2, back up to 4, back to 2, now it's 6 again. That is the nature of the beast here at Lime Rock Park, Jeremy.
Yes, it certainly is, because Kenton Cook then had to deal with that traffic as well, so he's lost what JCD had lost a few laps ago. So that gap has drawn out again, and now Kenton Cook, his lead of almost 7 seconds over Alfredo Nadri in 3rd place has been halved as well. So there's another, just look at that, it was AJ Muss apparently was diving down the inside there of that huge group of Brian Herder Hyundais going into Big Bend, and just tagged the right rear of Chris Miller.
Yeah, it looked like he might have even been locked up there. Jeremy knew that he wasn't going to get in there. It's a big wide entry into turn 1 into Big Bend, and it does look like you've left the door open. Eventually the car in front is going to have to turn, of course. So again, it's part of racing, and anybody who gets through racing without having a penalty called on them once in a while probably isn't racing as hard as they really should. And I'm not trying to in any way justify anybody's bad behaviour, but that wasn't bad behaviour, that was just a little mistake, perhaps being a little ambitious, but you still have to take the penalty for that. So 7 seconds now at the head of the field for the number 28 RS1 Porsche, carving their way through traffic at the moment. And in a moment or two, we'll hit another big gaggle of TCR cars.
Yeah, they tend to hunt in packs, don't they, the TCRs?
Three Mustangs together coming through the final corner up the front straight. If you're a blue oval fan, get your cameras out right now, as through they come across the start-finish line right now. That's Sheena Monk in the 877, the green and white car. James Pesek in the pink number 40 PF. And Core Motorsports' Bob Michelian in the 59. We'll keep an eye on that as Shea brings us up to date with more from the pit lane.
Down here with points leader in TCR, Michael Lewis. Michael, this place was a very good race for you and Taylor Hagler last year, a win. You've got 4 seconds on the season. Don't you think it's time for another one?
Yeah, that's right, Shea. It'd be nice to get a win, or obviously a second, but right now we're just kind of fighting for the top 5, and we're here in this battle station in the pit lane looking at all these monitors and just watching Taylor around. I'm trying to see how her line is, trying to anticipate what the track's going to be when I get in, but she's doing a great job, and up to, I think, 6 right there, you know, for top 5 right now. So yeah, it would be awesome to get a win and repeat, but let's just focus on what we can get right now.
This TCR battle is so frenetic out there with all the starting drivers, and it seems to change pace a little bit when the finishing drivers get in. Do you learn anything from watching the battling now?
Yeah, I'm watching these cars and where they're being placed. You know, the finishing and starting drivers are both pretty solid, so you know, I trust some of these guys, and seeing what they're doing, I'll kind of like, you know, look at that and see what I can do for my stint, and then if it's a calm stint, I'll just focus on my lines, try to catch whoever's ahead of me. But when there's traffic, maybe I can learn something here, and that's what I love about this track, and I hope the fans are enjoying it. There's a lot of chaos, and I kind of feed off of that, and maybe we can make some big gains.
Good luck when you get in the car.
Yeah, thanks so much, and hope a Hyundai's up there. Hopefully it's us, but let's try to get one of them up there.
Just under 90 minutes still to go. Murillo 56 in second place, the orange AMG GT4 of Kenton Cook, and off for the 40. That was one of the cars that was battling for 13th, 14th and 15th position. Actually, no, it was 8th, 9th and 10th, wasn't it? The Core Motorsports car. They were, well, the 59 has got back on the track and does not come into the pit lane. That was at the final corner. You don't often get away without damage there. And we have got full course yellow for that incident. Now, remember the 3 Mustangs, the 877 of Sheena Monk was battling along with Bob Michelian in the number 59, who's the car that went off. And I think the 40's still in the grass. Yes, it is. That's dropped down. That's James Pesek. He's not happy. So 2 of those 3 Mustangs have come to grief at the final corner. And with just over half an hour gone, let's call it 33 minutes, we have a full course yellow.
Really a shame for that PF Racing team. They're running 4th in the championship. They had a really good season. They won the race at Sebring. They had a little bit of bad luck in round 5 of the championship at Watkins Glen, but other than that, it had a really good season. And I'll tell you what, James Pesek is not somebody you want to get on the wrong side of. He's a former fullback at Iowa University, so a very accomplished football player. Let's have a look and see if we can see maybe what happened. Ooh, there's the Alpha taking an off-course excursion. I don't think that was anything to do with him.
Yeah, the incident between the 2 Mustangs.
Yeah,
it happened on the way into the final corner, Jeremy, because James Pesek was in the guardrail coming in. He was trying to turn in, and Bob Michelian came through on the inside, and there was side-by-side contact. That's going to be a tough one for race control to sort out.
Well, yeah, I mean, Michele was going down the inside, coming down the hill, but it looked from that brief onboard as if Michele kind of moved across onto the path of Pesek and kind of pushed him off the racetrack. I think Bob was trying to get back towards the left-hand side of the racetrack to give you the preferred line through that downhill turn there, the right-hander. But I don't think he gave James enough room there. That was my initial perspective on that one. I'll have to wait and see. Maybe we can see that one again. But I think that would certainly explain why James is particularly unhappy. And this will take them out of the championship reckoning now, and that's a great shame because he was doing a nice steady job there in the mid-pack. He'd been handing that car over to Chad McCumbee, who's a very accomplished driver, a former series champion in the ST class a few years ago, with Stephen McAleer, actually, who's going to be driving the car that's currently leading this race shortly.
Alfa Stelvio as one of the intervention vehicles, Alfa Romeo Stelvio. I saw my first Alfa Stelvio at this circuit about 3 or 4 years ago when they first came out. It's one of the Miller Motor Cars supplied circuit vehicles, along with the Chevy trucks and our AMR safety team and the Porsche Cayenne intervention vehicle, all down there at the final corner. Under review, that incident involving James Pesek and Bob Michelian. Pit lane has not yet opened, and when it does, it will be for all of the cars in one go. There is no class split. Sorry,
yes,
it will be for GS first, and then TCR afterwards. So the GS cars will come in first. And we're getting the pass around at the moment. So if you're trackside and you're seeing people going through with double waved yellows, that is any car that is between the leader and its own class leader, any of the TCRs being allowed to go through. Now there's some concern, Jeremy, about the barrier there on the turning to the downhill right-hander at the end of the lap.
Yeah, it was a pretty stout hit there that James Pesek took there. He just sort of cannonballed off into the right-hand side of the racetrack there, and it certainly isn't a place where you have many instances. There's often instances on the exit of that corner, but not often going into the corner. And there was a scrape there.
There was a touch from one of the Hyundais onto the Alfa that was a completely separate incident to the two Mustangs getting together. But there was a wee bit of hip and shoulder going on there. So a slight mistake by Pesek, I think, coming out of West Bend. He got his left-hand tyres on the dirt, and that compromised him on under the Haggerty Bridge. Michelian saw the opportunity to go down the right-hand side, the inside, and I think he would have been all right because he was nosing ahead. But as you said, Jeremy, looked like he tried to go back to the left onto the racing line, and Pesek was still there.
Absolutely right. Yeah, I think he just didn't. He thought he was clear, and he wasn't. And the road does sort of curve slightly to the right there. In any case, it's not just a straight corner, so to speak, a 90-degree corner. Although that's what the corner goes through pretty much in ultimate terms. But there's a bit of a kink there, and I think Michelian there just didn't give enough room on the outside, and I think he'll probably call for again, not something he did deliberately, but one of those instances you just got to pay attention going down that hill and into that corner. It's a flat-out corner, just about. It's seriously fast, and if you're compromised on your entry, which he would have been because he was just making that pass, then it's going to cost you time on the exit. So you want to try and get across to the left-hand side of the road before you make that right-hander, but you've got to make sure you were clear of the car that you're dicing with. And it looked like he wasn't. Well, he clearly wasn't in that instance.
And just a note, by the way, as we're in full course yellow now, it was Tony Menard from Michelin who waved the green flag today. It's his last weekend as race of Director of Motorsport for Michelin North America. He's been a good friend to us, and many times he's allowed us to stick a microphone under his nose. We'll try and do the same again later on today in our Michelin Countdown to Green as we head to the pit lane and to Shea Adam, where we've got GS pit stops.
We're seeing fuel and tires done for most of these cars, but no driver changes as of yet. The first car to go is only fuel. That's the 65 Murillo Racing Mercedes. Fuel and tires for the 8 Macan, the 56 Murillo Racing Mercedes, the Turner Motorsport number 95 BMW is back in. Dylan McIlvaine getting 4 tires this time. The 60 Mustang is in. That is Luca Mars. The 877 Sheena Monk, that Ford Mustang, also fuel and tires. Fuel and tires for Hardpoint and Nola Sport in both of those Porsches. Nobody else came onto the pit lane, but we do have drivers up on the wall. So once the minimum time has been met, not this time around, but the next time, we should see GS cars back in when the pits are open for everyone.
Yeah, big damage to the left front of the pink Mustang on the back of the flatbed. Left front and left rear will need some remedial attention there when that car gets back, and that's not coming back in this race with just an hour and 20 minutes to go.
Yeah, and significantly there, John, an hour and 20 minutes to go. So the 40 minutes minimum drive time has not yet elapsed. It's around about now, actually, that it has. And we're now seeing some of the TCR cars coming in. They can make that driver change. And they, with this full course caution, might be able to get to the end from here. It's super tight for them. I'm not sure. Yeah, the leaders did get an opportunity to come in. So they're all in now, I think, of the TCR cars. I think probably pretty much all of them, except for Victor Gonzalez once again stays out in car number 99. He does it every time.
He does.
And he's having too much fun out there in that number 99 car, so he will take over the lead in that class. But for the GS cars that were in last time around, they could take on fuel and tires if they wanted, but they could not make the driver change, so they have to come in again shortly.
Yeah, they may come in when it's open at the end of this lap for everybody. Shea Adams watching the TCR stop.
Unfortunately, Nola Sport thought that the pits were open this time for GS. They're in doing their driver change, so that will be a penalty for pitting out of their sequence. But everybody else, as far as TCR is concerned, except for Victor Gonzalez coming into the pits, fuel, tires, and driver changes up and down the pit lane. I should say fuel and front tires, because the back tires just there to keep the exhaust off the ground. Right, John?
That's what Martin Haven always says. And he's watched more TCR racing in his commentary career than probably any 3 or 4 of us put together. They've all managed to get out before the blue NSX comes onto the start-finish line. Here comes the residual stops, and in comes the leader. Now, this is all down to the fact that another lap is another minute and 30 seconds, and that's taken them over the 40-minute drive time minimum. Shea Adam, you've got the leaders in GS coming in the pit lane now.
Yes, we do. And for the 28 RS1 Porsche, this is Stephen McAleer getting in. JCD is out. We've got Alan Brynjolfsson out of the Volt Racing Aston Martin. Trent Hinman taking over. Robin Liddell getting into the Rebel Rock Racing Camaro for Frank Depew, who started that car. And Alfredo Nasri out of the Toyota that started in second. Tiago Camilo taking over that one. We've also got Vin Barletta out of the number 96 Turner Motorsport BMW, and Robbie Foley in for the duration. Hugh Plum out of the 46 Team TGM, and Matt Plum in. I'm going to keep an eye on Hugh and see what he does in between these stints. That was a very short pit stop for TGM. Very good service. Quick tire change, only the left sides, and lots of fuel. They jumped just about everybody else in the pits, except for RS1. It was a good stop for FCP Euro as well. The 55 gaining a few spots with Mike Skeen now behind the wheel. But now I need to keep my eyes open for the cars that did fuel and tires the last time that they were able to come in for GS, and did a quicker stop here. The first one of those that I saw was the 56. Eric Foss is now in that car for Kenton Cook. And John, you'll have to tell me where he cycles back out.
Yeah, I'll tell you, they didn't get turned into their pit as close to the wall as they wanted to, and that meant the fuel hose had to be really stretched to get another dab of fuel in, whilst Eric was getting into that car. They were in 22nd and 13th in class. So in comes Owen Trinkler again. And this, I reckon this is a top-up to try and get him to the end of the race, Jeremy.
No, this will be the handover to Ted Giovannis, who hasn't driven much yet in this race.
All right, I see.
So not quite sure why they wouldn't have made that change when they came in a couple of laps ago.
Shea can tell us.
No, guys. Owen started the car. He had to do a drive-through penalty, so he has not yet gotten service for this 64 Porsche. This is fuel and 4 tires. Owen is staying aboard. I fully expect Hugh Plum to take this car to the end of the race. As I told you about in the beginning moments of the race, that Ted Giovannis was feeling quite ill this morning, and so Hugh is expected to potentially drive both, should Ted not be able to.
Okay. Thank you, Jeremy. Thank you, Shea. Jeremy Shaw and John Hindhaugh in the booth here for this race, which still has an hour and 15 minutes to go. Final wave by is just being set up, and when it is, it will be the number 72 Murillo Racing AMG GT3 with Kenny Murillo behind the wheel. He has not stopped, neither has the TCR car behind him, and that is Victor Gonzalez. But we will have the GS cars cycling to the front, so Victor won't get to stay in second behind the safety car. But he's not going to get a wave by either, because he is genuinely in second position, so he doesn't get to drive by. So I reckon it'll be Murillo Racing's Mercedes AMG from Michael McCann and McCann Racing's Porsche, then Nate Stacey for Core Motorsport. So 72, 8, 60, your top 3 behind the safety car once we've reset the GS field. Then it'll be hard points, number 22 and Nick Gallant. Then Stephen McAleer for RS1, the car that was leading before this pit stop cycle. So that, Jeremy, hasn't worked for them at all in staying out and taking the single longer pit stop.
Sorry, for who?
For the former leader, Stephen McAleer's car, the 28 car.
Right. Yeah, and it's, you know, the key is, you know, who's changed drivers and who hasn't, and, you know, not all of the GS cars have changed drivers. I think most of them have, but number 22 car doesn't seem to have changed driver, nor the number 8, nor of course number 72 that hasn't yet been onto pit lane. Bob McCallion is into pit lane now. He as a result of that incident at the downhill, did go a lap down. He got that lap back when all of the other leaders pitted, so now he is coming in to hand over that car to Billy Johnson.
2 tyres only, and Bob wandering around the front of the car then when he should have been going round the back, and Billy Johnson trying to get away. It was left-hand tyres only on that car to try and stay on the lead lap, and he might just do that. He comes out in front of the French Blue NSX, and Shea Adam has Harry Gottsacker down in the pit lane out of his Hyundai.
Harry, that looked like such a fun TCR battle. One of the top 10 of the century for you.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun out there running with Robert. You know, we managed to pull a nice gap on the rest of the field. We were just out there keeping it clean, having a good time on this beautiful racetrack.
It seems like the Hyundais are having more fun battling each other than dealing with any of the other cars. Do you feel like maybe this will be another Hyundai sweep of the podium?
You never know, fingers crossed. But, you know, we're a good team. We like to work together, and we'll see it out through the end.
Still fighting for this championship also. That's got to be in the back of your mind, too.
Most definitely, yeah. Finishing all the races is definitely a big part of the championship contention, and hopefully we can just get a good finish.
Good luck.
Thank you.
So coming back to green, let me just run you down the restart order. As we said, 72 Mercedes for Murillo, McCann Racing's 8, Porsche, Ford Mustang 60, Nate Stacey in the Core Motorsports car, then hard points Nick Gallant. All bar the first car have pitted in those cars I've mentioned, as is Stephen McAleer. He's changed drivers as well. That's 5th position, and Matt Plum in the 46, he's changed over from his brother as well, who started the race. And now it's down to Kenny Murillo. No new tyres for that car. Kenny started the race, probably still got maybe 10 minutes in that car, maybe a little bit more before he has to come in to make the final pit stop for that car. He might be just looking to have stretched the fuel a little bit to make this. He only needs to make one more pit stop. Everybody behind him, I think, also, well, everybody will in GS have to make one more pit stop. It's just a question of when. And if we get more full course yellow. 1 hour and 11 minutes to go. Lime Rock Park. The Lime Rock Park 120 for the IMSA Michelin Pilot Challenge. There's a touch between the second place Michael McCann racing Porsche, the red, white and black car, and immediately that puts him offline as he ran into the back of the leader there going into the West Bend, and side by side down the front straight Nate Stacey for Core Motorsports, and 3 across the track here as the early leading RS1 Porsche now in the hands of Stephen McAleer passes the Mustang and goes into third. Is challenging for second and will take second through the right-hander, now on the wrong side of the left-hander. The Mustang's coming back. The race for RP number 60 car. But McAleer confirms himself in third position. Really interesting exchange there, Jeremy, that all started on the entrance to the West Bend 1 lap ago, where Michael McCann was trying to pressure Kenny Murillo into a mistake and ends up losing a position himself.
Hold on there ahead of Stephen McAleer, but this is some super battling going on there. There is Trent Hinman in the thick of that battle as well now in number 7 car, having taken over from Alan Brynjolfsson. That the Volt Racing Aston Martin, that is a championship leader coming into this weekend by about 90 points over Eric Foss, whose car currently is running in the, where is he? Down in the 15th position for car number 56, so that sequence of stops did not work out in their favour, did they? Came in twice, first of all to top up with fuel and then to change drivers in car number 56, but Eric Foss has got some work to do.
He's got to go to the end. He's got a fuel save like man and go to the end. Off the circuit, the number 55 AMG GT4, and that was Mike Skeen, the FCP Euro by Rica Autosports car. That was coming through turn 1 into turn 2, the big bend into the left-hander. Bit of grass tracking there for Mike Skeen. He's back on the circuit now. Billy Johnson being in and out in the Core Motorsport number 59. That car, as Jeremy mentioned, is just on the end of the lead lap. And that's 2 pit stops that have been completed by that car. And again, I suspect that that's another top-up trying to... Can they go an hour and 9 minutes? I'm not sure.
They'll need yellow.
They'll need yellow, yeah. Drive through for Tyler Gonzalez in the Van der Steur Racing Veloster. Shea Adam could tell us what that was all about.
It was basically not getting the pit stop done quickly enough, John. When they took the left front tire off, they left it in the pit exit area of the box, and they made no effort to try and move it out of the way in a timely manner. So it impeded the car behind, who was pitting, from being able to leave his pit box in a timely fashion. So that pit stop penalty was in effect to do with the crew, not the driver.
Yes, we're effectively working outside the equipment outside of the dedicated pit box area, and that's the drive-through that's just been served. James Pesek out of the race for PF Racing, contact with the barrier on the way down to the final corner, still waiting to see if there'll be any repercussions there for this side-by-side contact with Bob McCallion in the number 59 Mustang. That was the 40 and the 59 Mustangs that came together right behind Sheena Monk in the 877 JG Wentworth racing car, which is now in the hands of Kyle Marcellian, running in 12th position. They were battling just on the outskirts of the top 10 when that happened. That caused the only full course yellow of the race.
We just had a change for the lead, John, with Stephen McAleer taking advantage of the fact that Kenny Murillo just trying to carry a little bit too much speed into Big Ben, run a little bit wide. That's all the gap that Stephen McAleer needed to move on through there. So 28 car back into the lead of this race with its driver change completed, and they're looking really, really good at this stage in the game. And that, of course, is one of the cars that elected not to come in on the initial opportunity to do so, like quite a few other cars did. They came in after that to make their driver change, and it's worked out really in their favour. Now, Stephen McAleer, he's clearly got a really quick car, taking full advantage of it as well.
Liddell down the inside to turn number 7. Fantastic manoeuvre on Matt Plum, the Rebel Rock Racing Chevrolet Camaro, the Urban Grid car. Moves up into the position. Remember as well, Stephen McAleer with a performance advantage on his tyres. Kenny Murillo started that car, and therefore those Michelins have done 51 laps. Sorry, Jeremy, go ahead.
No, I was going to say that the Turner Motorsport BMW, it's in the mix there for kind of third position on back, number 95 cars. That is still a lap down. Wasn't able to get its lap back during that full course caution period. So it's in amongst that lead battle, but not for position. Dylan McAven's still driving. Showing us still driving that number 95 car.
Yeah, and that's a very good point, Jeremy. It caught me out earlier on when I was looking at the cars rather than the timing screens as they came past us. So the leader then, Stephen McAleer for RS1, and he is coming down to complete another lap now, goes across the line. Then the battle for second, third, fourth, fifth on down.
Well, yes.
Kenny Murillo doing a good job with those old tyres, Jeremy, helped by the fact that everybody else is having such a big scrap behind him.
That's right. There's at least a dozen cars, probably more than that, in this big long train there, all the way back to Tim Probert, who once again is doing a super job there, hanging on to the trail, the tail of that group there. So we've got Murillo Racing Mercedes at the front and back of that huge group of cars. Number 72 car is Kenny Murillo, still in second place, as you say, having not yet made a pit stop, but everybody else behind him has, and at the trail of that car is number 65, that is Tim Probert.
How long can Kenny Murillo go? The window is closing, and ideally what he wants is somewhere around about the hour is to have another full course yellow, which would bring everybody else in, and therefore he'll hold on to his position. That's the dice that he's rolled. That's the bet that he's making with the racing gods at the moment. Oh, a little touch on Plum onto the back of the Urban Grid Camaro, going into braking area, Big Bend, and Robin Liddell got very sideways, but holds on to 6th position. Matt Plum pushing hard, but he's under pressure from Trent Hinman in the bright yellow Aston Martin, the Volt car going through the right-hander, and Plum is off the track. And I think he was ushered off by the next car back. I don't think that was Hinman. I think that was the Nola Sport car of Jason Hart, the number 47, not in its usual multicoloured colour scheme this time around. It's in a sort of white and yellow, not actually unlike the one or two of the cars around it. But that has dropped Matt Plum at least a position, possibly a couple. Maybe Kyle Marcelli went through in the green and white number 877 JG Wentworth racing car as well.
This is great stuff, isn't it? Tremendous battling there. But as you said, you mentioned the Riley Motorsports Toyota there, car number 14, running in 4th position. He managed to get past Nate Stacey last time around in that number 60 Mustang. Thiago Camilo has taken over from Alfredo Nadri in the lone Toyota in the race this weekend, because generally the sister car, number 21, is not here this weekend. They've had various crashes this season. They ran out of parts there, I believe. But Thiago Camilo from Brazil, a veteran stock car Brazil driver, and a lot of success there. And he's had some third place finishes in this championship as well, and that Toyota is right in that mix there. So at the moment it's Porsche, then he's pulling away. Stephen McAleer's long gone. But then everybody else, we've got Mercedes, Porsche, Toyota, Ford, Aston Martin, Chevrolet, 6 different manufacturers in the top 6 of that big train behind.
Liddell going side by side with Nate Stacey and goes through. That's Robin Liddell up to 6th position now. Or is he in 5th actually?
He's just lost the place actually.
Lost the place, then gained one back.
Hinman.
Yeah. Hinman's gone through, and then he's just gone back by Nate Stacey. So lost one, gained one there. So that makes Trent Hinman, I think, up to 5th, and Robin Liddell back up to 6th. Both of them having got ahead of Nate Stacey in the Court Motorsports number 60 car. Need to get another look at that when they come past us on the start-finish straight. Meantime, in TCR, Stephen Simpson for Michael Johnson Racing leads in the 54 car by all of 3.5 tenths. from Mark Wilkins to Brian Hurd at Autosport. That number 33 car always near the sharp end of the field. Third is John Morley for Road Shagger Racing. Once again, Gavin Ernstone, who started that car, has kept his cool, kept his position, kept the wheels pointing in the right direction. And he's up into third. Also moving up now, Trent Hinman in the GS category, up to fourth now, having just disposed of Thiago Camilo for Riley Motorsports, the Toyota, with a little bit of damage on the rear valance of that car. And they're all stuck in behind Kenny Murillo. Stephen McAleer has checked out 5 seconds down the road. He's on the start-finish straight, coming to the line now as the rest of them come round the final corner. Big defensive manoeuvre to the right-hand side of the start-finish straight by Kenny Murillo, sweeping to the outside. The BMW trying to get the lap back. And all of this, Jeremy Shaw allowing Stephen McAleer to drive away. And because we've had the full course yellow, the next car he's going to pass is Carl Whitmer, who's just come out the pits in the Victor Gonzalez Honda Civic. And he's actually almost half a lap ahead of the leader of the race in GS.
Yeah, so, you know, this is a fascinating race unfolding here. You just talked briefly about the, just gone, hasn't he, Stephen McAleer, taking advantage of this fighting. The good news is for the rest of the pack, as Trent Hinman then makes a move into West Bend to move into what will be second position now then ahead of Kenny Murillo. The lapped car ahead of him is going to try and make up the ground to Stephen McAleer, but I think that's a forlorn hope. In TCR, by the way, it was a great pit stop by that number 61 Road Shagger team.
Jason Hart in the pits. Jason Hart in the pits from the top 6 in the number 47 Nola Sport car. It's his third time into the pit lane with exactly an hour to go. They're rolling the dice here, Jeremy, aren't they? They're going to try and make it from here, make your first pit stop. Only Shea Adam is watching this. What tricky pit strategy is this, Shea Adam?
It's not paying off for him, John. The refueler was done about 20 seconds before the tire change was done. They did left sides only, and now the car is rolling away once again, and it has started a domino effect. As we expected, people are starting to clamber up onto the pit wall to try and cover them off.
It may not have cost them as much time because they wouldn't have had that much room in the tank, Jeremy, to put VP Racing fuel into it.
True that. So yeah, curious that it should have taken so long to get that pit stop completed. But all this battling farther down the field. There's Carl Marcelli trying to make a run there, up into fourth position then. Oh, actually challenging for third. He's got it through to third place now. Is Carl Marcelli. Wow, what a charge he has made since the restart. Took the restart in the 12th position. Yeah. And now up to, I think that's third place for Carl Marcelli. That's at number 877. Wow, what a charge from him.
Remember, that was the lead of the 3 Mustangs when that accident occurred that brought out the full course yellow. Bit of bodywork or some kind of a part of the car that was thrown up there into West Bend. And whether that was from one of the cars or it was flicked up. Robin Liddell now bottled up behind Kenny Murillo, who's gone over an hour, and Liddell's into the pits. Liddell is into the pit lane, so this is going to be, I'm guessing, this is brim full of VP Racing fuel share and possibly tyres, but maybe not. It's not that long since that car's been in.
Yeah, let's keep an eye on the tire changers and see if they come over the wall. Yes, at the very least, a left front. They are refueling the car as well. I think they're only doing left sides, as I see 2 sticker Michelins going out. Interesting that when the 64 Team GM Porsche came in, it was not Owen Trinkler getting out of the car, and they did right side tires only. Still waiting on fuel and tire change for Rebel Rock. Wow, fueling is done. Car drops off the air jack, and Robin leaves. That was almost 3 seconds lost, which is nothing when you're talking about this track.
Well, he's given up track position to get the fuel on to run to the end, and we've seen that car can be particularly abstemious in its use of fuel, Jeremy. I think back to Sebring when I think he was on the fumes to get to the end of the race. At the front, Stephen McAleer leads by 4.3 seconds. There's 56.5 minutes to go, Jeremy.
Yeah, so that's an interesting strategy by that team. They're going to lose the track position. They've I think, fallen a lap behind the race leader. Wait and see whether that's true or not, but I would imagine probably so. Where is the Camaro? Maybe not. I have to wait and see till they come round one more time. But yeah, they can get to the end from here, particularly with any full course caution that'll alleviate any concerns.
Camaro's crossing the line now. Leader crossing the line now. So he is in front of Stephen McAleer. So he stayed on the lead lap, albeit having dropped down in terms of position to 25th behind pretty much all of the TCRs and down into 15th place in GS. The top 12 are all GS cars, then it's the TCR battle, and then those that have stopped early in GS, which are led, I reckon, by Billy Johnson in the 59 car. I reckon he's trying to fuel to the end and go from here. I think that's the first car that's trying to do that, and that is the car.
47 was the first one, but yeah. Then the 64 and 71.
In terms of the rundown on the track, Billy Johnson is the first car in the rundown in 23rd position in 14th in GS. The 47 cars behind him, and Owen Trinkler and Robin Liddell as well. So it hasn't worked for the 47 of Jason Hart, who just goes across the line. Now, I should have said the highest placed car. Spin for Team TGM, and a masterful piece of avoidance from one of the Murillo cars coming down the hill. Got a little tap. Now, that is everybody heading into the pits, I would think, and there's damage to the front of that TGM car. It's been into the wall on driver's right, just under the bridge, the Haggerty Bridge. Race control waiting to see if Matt Plum can get that car going. It is the 46 car, it was the better placed of the two TGM machines. Took over from Hugh Plum earlier on. Yellow flags are out, full course yellow. This is absolutely brilliant for Kenny Murillo. Let's go to Shea Adam, who's already had a couple of stops before even we had the yellow flags come out. The pits, of course, now are closed. Shea, who got in first?
The first guy to leave the pits was Tyler McQuarrie in the 93 Carbon Porsche. He was followed out by Robbie Foley with 4 new tires on the Turner Motorsport BMW. We then had the number 1 TCR machine, Michael Lewis, get 2 new tires, and fuel, and Mikey Taylor of the 17 Audi. They came in fuel and tires as well. We've got a smoking Murillo car coming into the pit lane. I'll tell you about that in a second as I keep an eye on it. It's one with the black down the nose. Oh no, that's Eric Foss's car. Our second in championship, and a lot of white smoke coming out from that car. They are doing refueling first.
I think he clipped. I think that was the car that clipped and started the incident for the Plum car. Just coming under the bridge, he was the car directly behind it, and I reckon Eric Foss, just coming through a big bend, he got on the throttle a little bit early, and he did clip the back of the car right under the Haggerty Bridge here. So that car will have damage to the radiator, possibly.
Yeah, he's gotten out of the car and climbed back over the wall. So Eric Foss stayed done for the car that won here last year and won the last race. The only other car we had into the pits, very much of note, Michael McCann brought the number 8 in, handed it over to Andrew Davis. Fuel, tires, and a fresh Andrew Davis. That's going to be a car to watch.
Well, Jeremy Shaw, what a piece of timing. Bad news for one of the Murillo cars. The leading car that hadn't stopped, Kenny Murillo, will get his stop. And the third car actually only just missed the spinning TGM car coming down the hill.
Yeah, that was, I mean, there were 2, as you say, 2 Murillo cars right in that mix there. And I think Eric Foss a little bit unfortunate, but not nearly as unfortunate as Matt Plum there, because that was a big impact that he suffered. And he was kind of he was the meat in the sandwich, wasn't he? And that meat was just spat out as they came toward the bridge. A big shunt there for Matt Plum, and that's just really unfortunate.
He's out of the car, Jeremy, by the way, we should say that, yeah.
They've had no luck at all this season. Let's have a look again.
He was challenging the 72 car,
which was a bit slow out of the corner, then trying to defend from the number 56 car.
Yeah, and he got turned around by the 56, and all 4 Michelin tyres off the ground at one stage as he went into the guardrail on the left-hand side.
Yeah.
Very, very close to
Eric Foss Eric Foss had a choice to make there. He could have lifted off,
Yeah.
or kept his foot in it, and he clearly kept his foot in it there. I'm not sure that
Eric's
was the game by that.
No, Eric is not a dirty driver at all. He was trying to take advantage there, but he has caused that incident. I think if that car came back out, it would get a penalty. If I'm brutally honest there. No disrespect to Eric, but as you said, Jeremy, there was a choice to be made. People were backing up in front of him. He got on the power early, and he was looking down the right-hand side of the road, but he didn't have a full car's width there, and he was into the back of that TGM machine. Let me just run through who stopped just before that yellow flag came out. There were 3 GS cars and 2 TCRs. The number 8 Michael McCann Porsche came in. The 96 Turner BMW came in. The number 93 Tyler Macquarie car came in. That's the car
which is a lap down.
Porsche. Right, they've all come in. And in GS, Mikey Taylor came in the number 17, and Michael Lewis came in the number 1 car. And they got in just before the pits were closed for that incident. So they've done their pit stop, and they will not need to come in again during this pit stop unless they feel the need to top off. But with 50 minutes to go, I'm not sure that'll be the case. Certainly not for the TCR car, Jeremy.
Indeed not. So yeah, they can certainly get to the end from there. I would have thought they would have been close to doing it in any case, to be perfectly honest. So curious to know why they would have needed to come in there, because this is going to be a fairly lengthy caution period. So I would imagine that the TCR cars really wouldn't have had any difficulty getting to the end from here. So curious to know why the number 1 car chose to come into the pits to make that stop at that juncture.
Leader about to come in the pit lane is in the pit lane. Shea Adam is down there as Stephen McAleer comes in to make what should be the last stop for the leading Porsche. He's given up the lead, and Kyle Marcelli for JG Wentworth and the Mustang 877 goes to the lead, Shea.
I've got Stephen McAleer in for fuel only. Trent Hinman is getting fuel and tires. This is interesting. Trent versus Stephen. That'll be fun. Tiago Camilo is in left side tires going on to the Toyota, the number 14. And further down the pit lane, we have the number 60. That is Nate Stacey, fuel and tires for the Mustang. Driver change down at hardpoint with Nick Galante getting out and Sean McAllister taking over, fuel and tires there as well. And Kenny Murillo finally vacating that 72 Mercedes. It is Christian Simchak's turn to play, fuel and 4 new tires for the 72 Mercedes.
Far be it from me to ever second guess any of the teams here, and particularly not a team as good as RS1 who've won so many races. Stephen McAleer was held there at the end of the pit lane because the line of cars was coming through. They had time to put left side tyres on that car. All the cars behind him that took left side tyres are basically sitting in exactly the same place as they would have been if RS1 had taken left side tyres as well. Maybe Stephen just likes the balance of the car, but I'm just putting that out there. They had the opportunity to do that, Jeremy, as they went out. But Kyle Marcelli now leads the race in the green and white 877 Mustang.
Indeed he does, but does he have enough fuel to get to the end? That's certainly going to be a stretch, I think, for him. So all the TCR cars are coming in. Okay, fair enough. So they did need to stop from there. A little bit surprised, but okay. I mean, we went green with, what was it, an hour and 11 to go, wasn't it? So yeah, okay. They could do around about an hour, but this is going to be a fairly lengthy caution, so it certainly would have been tight for TCRs. And if there's another full course caution, it would alleviate those problems, I think. But most of them elected not to take that gamble. But with the exception of Road Shagger Racing, car number 61 car then stays out. The number 654 was leading the class. He'd taken Stephen Simpson, excuse me, had taken the lead from the number 33 of Mark Wilkins shortly after the restart, and was leading the class prior to making this pit stop.
Thanks, Jeremy. The 56 Mercedes being pushed away. I have to say that car, second in the championship, which started that incident with a little tap on the back of the Hugh Plum Maplum car, excuse me, Team TGM car, and that is under review. That it doesn't look damaged at all, so I'm not sure what it was, but it must be serious. I wondered if it was radiator damage, but there seems not to be any real percussive damage, Jeremy, on the front of that orange and black and white number 56 EMG.
Yeah, curious what happened there. I'm sure we'll try and find out, but in the meantime, more damage to those barriers on the before the bridge.
Having some barrier repairs done at the moment. That's what's holding us up just a wee bit. So there was one ding going into West Bend and then a much bigger one coming out that sent the TGM car spearing off to the right, and really unabated speed made contact, spinning back across the road backwards. And what was the third of the Murillo Racing cars, Christian Simchak's number 72 car, just managing to avoid it. No, that was...
I think that was six. No, that was Brent Mosing, I think.
Okay, right.
Tim Probert, excuse me, Tim.
Yeah,
Tim
it was, you're right, absolutely.
Who's now in second place, by the way.
Yes, so that avoidance was masterful. So Marcelli and Probert, who didn't stop at this one. Then Mike Skeen, he's only been into the pits once in that Mercedes, so it's Mustang, Mercedes, 877, 65 and 55. The FCP Euro car in third position. Now Mike Skeen, remember, he was last into the pits when, Jeremy? Because he hasn't just come into the pits, that's how he's got that position. So
55 car, that was last in under the caution, I think.
Under the previous caution, so he's been out there, 29 laps now.
Yeah.
So he will have to stop again. Even under safety car, things go by pretty quickly here. But it's still an hour, still 43, 44 minutes to go. Dylan McAvern into the pit lane, and Shea Adam is watching the Turner Motorsport pit stop.
Bill Oberlin has been so patient today waiting for his turn to drive this car, and he's going to make minimum drive time by about 2.5 minutes for this race. They are doing fuel and 4 tires for the Turner BMW. This is car number 95 as opposed to 96, which is already out on the circuit. These look like scrubbed Michelins. They have done the left sides, told Bill to fire it up. The fueling is done, and he is sent on his way. The other car of interest that we had down the pit lane was the number 77, Brian Herta Autosports Hyundai. That one claimed and took with it one of the Michelin RFID reader merge signs, and that had come back in on its front grille, covering everything entirely, so it had to come back into the pit lane to stop in a safe place and to hand that back to Michelin with the "I'm sorry guys, I didn't mean to" look on its face.
It's going to be expensive.
Yeah, very expensive. Hello to Jerry C, who's joining us from Florida. Just a little clip of the number 28 car. Whilst it was being fueled, that's the car that was the leader for RS1 by the incoming number 14, Riley Motorsports Toyota. Just clip the left-hand side as it was coming in there, as the final wave by is about to happen, and we'll reorder the GS cars to the front of the field, Jeremy.
Indeed so. So it will be, I think, the number 95 car, by the way, is back out onto the back on the lead lap, I believe.
Yeah, just stopped. Yeah.
But whether you'll have time to get back up into position, so to speak, I don't know. But that was certainly a really good run now, having had that early problem for Dylan McAvern. They had the puncture very early in the race, had to come in, make an unscheduled stop, and went a lap down to the field. And now finally they've got that lap back, so that car's going to be in contention. We're going to have, I think, 15 GS cars on the lead lap, and then a massive train of cars in TCR as well.
Yeah, and he is going to be on the back of the GS cars, because they will reorder the GS cars to the front, won't they? So at the moment he's right on the end of everybody in terms of his running position on the road. He's just coming into the uphill chicane now. That's Bill Oblin we're talking about in the number 95 Turner BMW. The leader is coming into Big Bend. Actually, Oblin is coming down into turn 7, excuse me. Looking at the wrong part of my track map for the tracker. But he should be able to cycle through the back of the GS group, because we're nowhere near getting back under green. We've still got course vehicles working on the barriers on both sides of the track. And by the way, opportunity under yellow, as we always do here on IMSA Radio and IMSA TV, to say thank you to all of our marshals, corner workers, track services, as well as our medical and volunteer officials, including those who've helped park cars here this weekend, stamp tickets, point people in the right direction. All the volunteers without whom professional motorsport can't happen. We thank you sincerely for giving the most precious gift you've got, your time. Dedicated band that allows us to go motor racing and allows us and you, the motorsport enthusiast public, to enjoy our sport. Thank you all, ladies and gentlemen, and to you for turning up here this weekend as well. Good to have you back in big numbers here. Shortened weekend, as ever, with the Friday, Saturday running. We're going to have at least a couple more laps, I think, Jeremy, before we go back to green. So there'll be some frantic slide rule action. There'll be calculator and spreadsheet nowadays, won't it? On the pit lane about how much fuel is there, and they'll be asking their drivers, what's your fuel number, what's your fuel number? There'll be a few people wanting to know whether they can go all the way from here.
Yeah, they will, and you certainly, I think, the best placed cars here would be the number 71 and number 47 in terms of fuel. They both made a pit stop before, well before, 3 or 4 laps before the caution came out, so they're certainly good to go with full-on boogie, no fuel save required there. And number 71 car, that's the car Robin Liddell set the fastest lap in the first practice session of the weekend on yesterday morning, so we know that car is fast. Jason Hart also in that number 47 car, he was the first of the GS cars to come in to make a pit stop with around about an hour to go, and I think because of that, because of this lengthy caution period, he should be good to go from there as well. So behind him is Stephen McAleer in number 28 car. That's the car that's led most of this race, and then clearly has a very, very fast car.
Had a spin under yellow by the purple. When the spin are coming together. This is terrible news for Luca Mars for Core Motorsport in the number 60. Big damage to the right front. Now, is that just given up, or did he come together with the hard point Porsche of Sean McAllister? That's the West Bend area, and that's very damaged. Race for RP number 60 Mustang is in the pit lane with substantial right front suspension damage. That car's done. Meantime, the number 22 is running again. And looks like there's damage to the rear end of that car on the left-hand side. Yeah. Has there been some weaving around and something's happened there? Is that car coming in to the pit lane as well? Yes, it is. You're going to have 2 cars there, and I don't think the number 60 is going back out again.
And the best part is, John, their pit boxes are right next to each other, so it never fails. But yes, the 2 cars which are damaged are both now sitting forlornly in their pit boxes. There's a bit more kicking of the tires going on at hardpoint, and a bit more work, or at least attempt work, from Dean's guys down at Core. But it looks like both cars are going to be staying here for the foreseeable future. Good news is drivers don't have to go too far to have a conversation with each other.
Oh, that's going to be embarrassing.
The youngster, Luca Mars, just 16 years of age, from Sir Wickley, Pennsylvania. He's been super fast in the races this season. Made a couple of miscues here and there, including one in the pit lane at Sebring, but he's certainly fast. Got a big, bright future ahead of him, I think. But unfortunately, those two seem to have made some contact there, and it's really heavy. A lot of damage on that right front, as you say, John.
It would suggest to me that either the hardpoint car's been waving left and right, and on the left jink, On the left zig, it's hit a right zag from the 60 car, or quite simply the 60 car has just come up at speed and misjudged what was going on ahead of it. But both drivers are out, and I think both of those cars are out of the race. Final wave by is complete. Shea Adam is watching those two in the pit lane, and they are pitted right next to each other, the purple and white 22 and the white, black and almost martini stripes of the number 60. Two unhappy garages, Shea.
Very much so. There is one car in between them, so I was not correct on that. But they are trying to duct tape the Mustang to hold the splitter up enough so that Luca Morris can continue in the race, because the suspension looks all right enough to make it through for the Ford, but Luca's still behind the wheel of that car. Sean McAllister, on the other hand, in the Porsche, has gotten out, left his helmet on, and looks quite disconsolate at this point, very confused as to what happened. But the problem is that they have IMSA officials standing around this Ford, and that splitter does not look like it wants to stay in place. Oh, and now they have a baseball bat as well. So for Core,
Excellent.
This is going to be a bit of a lengthy stop, if indeed they can't get it fixed enough to go back out on track.
Ah, yes.
Yeah.
Took the Louis Mills slug into both headlights. There's
and
a song
already a
well.
couple of laps down, John, so you're out of contention now. So that's two more cars. So just 11 GS cars now on the lead lap. 12, make that 12, because Bill Oblin's just come in to make a pit stop in number 95 car. Did he? Maybe he needed a splash. No, he was only in a couple of laps ago, wasn't he? So I'm curious to know when the 95 car came in again just now for Bill Oblin. Maybe it's to take on tyres, don't know. But going to be interesting to see Bill Oblin, who's going to be right behind his teammate Robbie Foley for the restart here. They're running, though, in the 11th and 12th places, a two turner most of what BMW's home track, of course, for that northeast-based team.
Yeah, that is... I'm not sure that car is going to be going back out. I think it might just be going behind the wall. There'd been substantial contact even before those two cars got to the turning point at turn 6 West Bend, which had quite clearly caused the damage to the right front. Nick Damon, by the way, can now add to his essential bits for pit stops. So I think we're going back to green here. Yeah, we are. As well as a £10 lump hammer, some racer tape, mobile phone light, and tie wraps. A baseball bat. I like that. That needs to go in the essential bits. 33.5 minutes to go. Kyle Marcelli then leading out. He's taken the green flag in the green and white Mustang. It's Mercedes AMG GT4 in second for Barillo Racing in the orange and white car. Then Mercedes in there as well. Rebel Rock Racing with the Camaro. Robin Liddell just trying to make his way through the traffic at the moment. Nola Sport with Jason Hart. Was in there. Yes, he is. The 47. Just seeing the yellow and white car through the uphill. Tim Probert just slightly holding one or two people back at the moment. Marcelli leading. Probert's been passed by Liddell and Mike Skeen and Jason Hart at least. Stephen McAleer is not too far away from there either. But out front, Kyle Marcelli's got a cracking jump on everybody else, and it's 4 seconds. Make that 5 seconds ahead at the line. That's just dropped back actually to 2.8. Timing just catching up with Mike Skeen as he went across the line.
Yeah, and for the veteran driver there, Tim Probert, this is his 100th start this weekend in this championship for Tim, from Houston, Texas these days, or originally from the UK. Did a brilliant job last time out at Canadian Tire Motorsport Park. Qualified in the top 5, I think he did overall. Amazing performance there. And having another good is having another good run here, but he'll be anxious not to get in the way of those guys going for the championship here, that's for sure. Yeah, there was a bit of contact, wasn't there?
Yeah, the 14 Supra coming in, the Riley car, and just clipping the left front as they came in for their pit stop under the yellow. Stephen McAleer was already...
Has that just served a penalty then?
Yes, that was Tiago Camilo who had to serve the penalty for the pit lane incident. Drive-through also for car number 2, Ryan Norman, in his Brian Herter Elantra.
He is a lap down.
That was for speeding. we're still... The Murillo Racing and TGM has been reviewed that caused the yellow. No action on that from the race control, and inconclusive for the incident between the Mustang and the number 22 Porsche. So those, we're up to date now with what's been going on at race control. We have 31 minutes to go to BMW side by side through West Bend and coming down in the final corner. These are the two Turner cars, 95 and 96. Robbie Foley and Bill Oberlin, very respectful of each other, but they will be trying to move forward from their 6th and 7th positions.
8th and 9th, I think, but they're making up a lot of ground. I mean, they've made up 3 positions already at the restart. So in the meantime, Mike Skeen, he's got his hands full here with Robin Liddell and Jason Hart. Mercedes Chevrolet Ford, absolutely no Sattel going through the right-hander there onto No Name Straight and heading toward the uphill. And not far behind them is Billy Johnson in caliber 59. That's the remaining Ford Mustang for Core Motorsports. And then the championship leader, Trent Hinman, in 6th position in car number 7. Robin Liddell to the inside at West Bend.
And that is for position. Liddell getting the hurry up. And Liddell in this kind of mood is a wonderful thing to watch. By the way, John Morley for Roadshagger Racing is leading TCR, the number 61 Audi. That's been a super pit stop sequence for them. Gavin doing his bit earlier on, Gavin Ernstone doing his bit early on in the race, but John following it up and the team backing them up. 1, 2, 3 across the track and a big sideways slide by Billy Johnson. That's not going to hold the position as Mike Skeen comes up the inside through the left-hander, but that puts him on the outside for the right-hander, which comes next on the No Name Straight. And right in there, Trent Hinman is in behind them. It's too wide and too deep coming into the uphill. My goodness me. That was Johnson, Skeen, Jason Hart and Trent Hinman all at it. This has really come alive here with 29 minutes to go.
Yeah, it really has, hasn't it? It's the same in TCR as well. John Morley leads, yes, but he's got a train of about 7 cars right on his bumper, so some tremendous battling here. What a great run that is for Billy Johnson, looking to have a good run here. He's taken over that car from Bob McCallion, of course, and Billy, one of the more experienced drivers in this field, and certainly one of the most successful coming into this weekend. He's had an equal number of wins in this championship, 23 with Matt Plum, of course, was involved in that incident earlier on in this race. He's had 49 podium finishes, has Billy Johnson. He's in position now to get number 50. Finally, it's been a long time.
Very long time. Been sitting on that stat for a wee while, haven't we, Jeremy?
Yeah.
For that one. And the opportunity here at the moment. So 28 minutes on the nose to go. Robin Liddell, make a note of this, 4.7 seconds, the gap between first and second. And Liddell trying to make some ground on the leader. 8.77 leads it, that's Carl Marcelli for JG Wentworth Racing. Then Liddell, then Billy Johnson, and a second back to Mike Skeen, Trent Hinman, Jason Hart, Bill Oberlin, Stephen McAleer, just about at the second further back in 8th, then Robbie Foley dropping back a wee bit. Christian Simchak makes up the top 10 for Murillo, and still 2 Murillo racing cars, by the way, in the top 11, 72 and 65. Simchak and Tim Probert sitting in 10th and 11th.
Indeed, but Bill Oblin's just passed Stephen McAleer, the car that's dominated this race. So he is absolutely charging there.
McAleer didn't take tyres, remember, Jeremy, only fuel on that RS1 car when they came in to top off. Everybody else took tyres, and Shea was going to give us the answer for that, and then things kicked off elsewhere. Shea, what was the thinking there between RS1? Because they actually got held. I remember seeing it. They got held at the end of pit lane, so they could have put at least left side tyres on that car.
Yeah, John, sorry about that. I forgot. Completely my bad. I walked down to find out if they had perhaps run out of new tires, and they have a set of 4 sticker Michelins up on the wall. Steven is happy with the balance of the car and the way it's driving, and they were happier to let him go and do his thing on the tires that he was already on, thinking that the new tire advantage would wear off fairly quickly, and that Steven's kind of good.
Yes. Well, that was what I speculated at the start.
Now, though.
Yeah, he really is, Jeremy. The pace of this race has picked right up. Billy Johnson to his fastest middle sector of the race, and 2 big penalties for improper wave-by cars that, in fairness, are not in the mix. But Carl Whitmer in the number 99, Victor Gonzalez Racing, a stop and 1 minute 51 seconds for improper wave-by. Also, car number 2, which is already off the lead lap, Ryan Norman for Brian Herter Autosport, they're already in the pit lane. That's a stop and 1:51 as well. Improper wave-bys, basically you get, it's effectively a couple of laps, isn't it, that you're going to get penalised there. That's what's happened.
Yeah, because by taking that wave around, you gain a lap effectively. And this battle in TCR, it's getting to blows there between 2 of the Brian Herter Autosport cars. And we've got basically now an 11-car battle for the lead in TCR. Though I think that tyre rub there for...
It's the number 1 car. That is the 3rd place car of Michael Lewis.
The championship leader.
Championship leader has had contact, and that car had bodywork rubbing on the left rear Michelin. Now, has that just popped out, or has another bit of contact popped it away from the tyre? Well, the worst thing is, has it rubbed through the tyre and put a groove into it? But certainly that number 1 car was throwing a huge amount of tyre smoke out and has dropped back quite a long way. So what happened? It was the 15 that ran into it. It's the Bellegarde Technical Audi, Denny Dupont, who hit that car, and that car, I think, may have to come in the pit lane. That car, sorry, being the number 1 that I was talking about before. And that was a big hit going through the left-handed corner at the first part of the S's in the early part of the lap, Jeremy.
And in the meantime there, a new leader in TCR, Mikey Taylor, has got past John Morley, so now leads the class. Those 2 both running out. We've actually got Audi 1, 2, 3 at the moment, with Denny Dupont up into 3rd position. And 2 sequential cars, and 1 DSG is number 15 in 3rd position. And
that was at the exit
second now
of Big Bend that the leads changed positions last time around, and John is fighting a bit of a rear guard action at the moment. Not sure if they maybe rolled the dice on tyres and that gave them the track position, but they're hurting now with still 24 minutes to go, near enough. At the front of the field, Carl Marcelli, it was, what did we say, nearly 5 seconds. It's 3 seconds now for Robin Liddell. Took about 4/10 out the leader last time around.
Yeah.
JG Wentworth's Mustang versus Rebel Rock Racing Camaro. Mustang, Camaro, Mustang, AMG, Aston Martin, top 5, all front engine V8 muscle cars, whether from Europe or the States. That's quality stuff.
Cool stuff. And a few laps ago, 5 laps ago already now, for 2 laps in succession, Carl Marcelli turned his best laps of the race in that number 877 car, but still Robin Liddell is reducing that deficit. It was over 5 seconds. It's now down, as you said, to less than 3 between 1st and 2nd. That's Carl Marcelli in number 877 and the number 71 Camaro of Robin Liddell. Billy Johnson can't quite match that pace, I think, in 3rd position, but Mike Skeen continues just about to hold on ahead of Trent Hinman in the battle for 4th and 5th.
Championship could get a bit of a shake-up here in TCR, maybe in GS as well. We've had a couple of leading lights strike issues, so we'll keep an eye on what's going on. Good run out of the final corner for John Morley, very good run indeed, but he's been challenged down the inside. He's gone back past the 15 of Denny Dupont, who has now nipped to the inside and retaken that position. And the Simply Vegas Real Estate Made Simple car has dropped back another couple of spots. It looks to me as though they just don't have the performance in that car in this last third of the race. So now Mikey Taylor leads from Tyler Gonzalez, Denny Dupont in 3rd, then John Morley. So Unitronic JDC, Van der Steur Racing, Bellegarde and Technical. So good fight back from Tyler Gonzalez in the number 19. That is the sole Veloster of the Hyundai Hordes.
Very impressive run by Tyler.
Yeah.
One of the increasing number of youngsters in this field these days. Just 17 years of age, from St. Cloud in Florida is Tyler. Rory van der Steur had various dramas, as that team usually seems to do in the early stage of this race, but he did a good job, did Rory, and Tyler Gonzalez now up to the second position. That would be an excellent run, well, it has been an excellent run for them. And in third position, the Bellegarde and Techniseal race. It's a small team based in New Jersey, so one of that team's home race here at Lime Rock Park. And Denis Dupont, having taken over in that car from Preston Brown, who drove the opening stint, to just his second start in this championship from Chapel Hill in North Carolina, into software technician. Did a good job in that first stint. Competitive lap times he was turning, and now up into third position is Denis Dupont, as Tyler Gonzalez has closed up onto the tail now of Mikey Taylor. That's the battle for the lead in TCR, and they're right behind Tim Probert in the GS Mercedes car number 65.
Marcelli then, Cal Marcelli, GG Wentworth Racing, still leading, but it's under 2 seconds now. TCR battle, as ever, absolutely nip and tuck, nose and tail, tooth and nail, you name it, they've got it. And at the moment then, the lead, a slim lead, being held by the white, yellow and black Audi through the uphill now. I think that Hyundai just has a little more pace at the moment. The Veloster just looks to be able to pick its line a little bit better. Maybe a tyre performance advantage, maybe just the setup coming into its own as the track is rubbering in all the way through this short weekend. This, remember, only the second day. This is the final day, but only the second day of competition here. A little bit of a defensive move into the first corner by the leader in TCR, and got traffic right ahead in the shape of the number 55. It's one of the GS cars, one of the Murillo cars, and that car is very quick indeed in a straight line, but it looks to be holding these two up, battling for the lead in TCR. And that's the problem, isn't it, Jeremy, when you're battling for the lead? And this is giving Denis Dupont a great opportunity to close in on the leaders.
Yeah, that's exactly right. He has closed right in there. We've now got a 3-car battle for the lead in TCR, with Denis Dupont right in that mix, and not too far back either. Stephen Simpson has got ahead of John Morley, so John Morley now in that number 61 Road Shagger car found himself muscled down to 5th position in the late stages, with just less than 20 minutes to go.
Outside inside move from the Veloster with the two-tone blue and red stripes down the side. I always look at that and think of the old Peugeot Sport colours from back in the 80s and 90s, and this side by side coming through the first of the S's, now into the right-hander. The Unitronic Audi just gets through. There's a little bit of trading of vinyl between the front bumper of the Veloster and the back of the Audi RS3, and DuPont's right there now in the blue, white and green car as they go over the brow at the uphill into the West Bend again. Now down under the Haggerty Never Stop Driving bridge and into the final corner, turn 7, the downhill. And again, immediate move to the right-hand side by the leader in TCR, Mikey Taylor. That's fine. That's not blocking. He picks that line really early out of turn 7 and basically says to Tyler Gonzalez, look, if you want to go past me into Big Bend, do it, but you're going to have to do it on my left-hand side and go around the long way. Now they're into the spot through the S's where they get held up by the GS cars. And this is where DuPont closes right in. And in fact, right there too is the Elantra of Stephen Simpson. The 54 car has joined the party, and we've got 4 cars battling for only 3 steps of the podium in TCR.
That's right, and in the meantime, in the lead of the race, it's still Kyle Marcelli. Right behind him is the lapped car, is kind of 8. That's Andrew Davis for McCann Racing. He's second position on the road behind the Mustang, but a lap down, but right behind him now is Robin Liddell in that chasing Chevrolet Camaro in the second position overall. So first and second separated by the lapped car, and Andrew Davis, he's been there pretty much since this restart. He wants to get his lap back. So he's not going to let Robin Liddell go through easily.
Former teammates, those two know each other very, very well indeed. They explode into sight over the top of the uphill. Let's keep an eye on that as they come down to complete another lap. We're just 4 laps away from triple digits here, despite having a couple of lengthy interventions by our NSX safety car. The TCR battle continues. Who's the next car? It'll be Tyler Maxson, the next car that gets on the battle of the back of this in the 77. He's not that far away, about 2 seconds at the moment. But there's no doubt in my mind that Mikey Taylor could go quicker, Jeremy, particularly in that crucial first sector where the TCR cars are so quick. Now this time, does he pull to the right again? He does. And that he's not getting any draft at all from the GS cars ahead. He's much more concerned about taking the inside line away from Tyler Gonzalez as they go into Big Bend.
That's right, and that's where the tricky bit is for Mikey Taylor there, because that's where they close right up onto the tail of Tim Probert, who himself is kind of bottled up behind the Stephen Cameron racing car. Gregory Learfouge is kind of struggling a bit, surprisingly, for pace here. He is a lap down, though, is Learfouge in that orange and blue car.
Spin right in the middle of all that was the 65 Tim Probert car from 11th. That's the Murillo machine. It's racing for Alzheimer's to end Alzheimer's car, just coming onto No Name straight. He's got the car moving. We'll stay green with 15 minutes to go. And don't forget, we'll be giving you our nominations for the Michelin Moment of the race, both in TCR and GS. Actually, I think there was contact there. There was 3-car contact between the Veloster, the number 17 Audi, and Tim Probert. That's the car that had been holding them all up. And Tim Probert, I think, getting the wrong end of the stick there from the 2 cars on the inside as Tyler Gonzalez was trying to make the best of the situation. And that's actually cost him a position. Denny DuPont makes it a 1-2 for Audi again in the green and blue Bellegarde Techniseal car. That's a great run for Denny DuPont, you know, and that whole team. If they can hold on to that position, Gonzalez is moving again and holds on to 3rd. Stephen Simpson still 4th, and Mikey Taylor now with a whole 0.6 of a second of air lead. 14 minutes to go, and the top 2 in GS still separated by the lapped car, the number 8 of Andrew Davis for McCann Racing.
Yeah, and that Bellegarde Techniseal car, they've already had a 2nd place finish this season out on the west coast at WeatherTech Raceway Laguna Seca, so it's another brilliant run for that little team there. But this battle for the lead is really interesting, with Andrew Davis kind of holding position there as a tail gunner inadvertently, I'm sure, for Kyle Marcelli. But this is a super battle, and we've now got 13 minutes remaining. Does that Mustang have enough fuel to get to the end? That's the question.
Yeah, it's a very good point. Shea Adam has been talking to the teams at the front of the battles. What have you found out, Shea? And did you look them straight in the eye? Are you sure? Robin Liddell goes through. Andrew Davis pulls to one side, having not been able to get through. There's a little cheer behind Shea Adam. Which pit are you at, Shea?
I'm at Rebel Rock, as you could imagine from that little cheer as that was going on. Yes, the Mustang is good to make it to the end, so the JG Wentworth car can go on fuel. They were going to be tight, and then the last caution gave them plus 6 minutes of full green flag running by their estimate.
So what can Robin Liddell do now? Think about your nominations, Jeremy and Shea, for the Michelin Moment of the race. I'm leaning towards Bellegarde Techniseal in TCR at the moment, but we'll see what happens there. GS, I feel the story's not written yet, Jeremy. We're looking at the side-by-side for the lead. The 2 green and white cars, and Robin Liddell is in one of the Robin Liddell moods that we love to see. He's held on to the right-hand side of the track, so when he goes through the right-hander, he's going to take the lead. And the Urban Grid Rebel Rock Racing Camaro leads with 12 minutes to go. But it's not over yet.
And he owes that entirely to his buddy there, Andrew Davies, who let him go quite clearly. I think Andrew realised he wasn't going to be able to get past, so he said, OK, buddy, off you go. You're going to have a go at Carl Marcelli. That's what he's done. But while that battle was going on...
Marcelli back in the lead, Jeremy. Marcelli back in the lead.
Yes, and look who's looming. And look who's looming in third position and fourth. Billy Johnson and Trent Hinman. They were about 3 seconds back, each of them, from the two leaders.
Yeah, down the front straight again. Now, Andrew Davies needs to keep over to the right. He does. Here comes Billy Johnson. The two American muscle cars. This is a classic battle. It's Ford versus Chevrolet, Camaro versus Mustang. Two Mustangs and an Aston Martin versus the Camaro. And again, it's Liddell that goes back to the lead. Now, can he hold it on the uphill this time? He just drifted a little bit wide last time around, and he has got it, and he's got a car's length. He's got 2 cars lengths now. And now Liddell leads, and Marcelli has to look in his rear view mirror for Billy Johnson and Trent Hinman. Those cars are beginning to look very, very ominous indeed if you're a fan of the 877 Mustang. Remember, they stayed out, they rolled the dice, but they are plus 6 minutes on fuel. Billy Johnson leading on the left-hand side of that car through the downhill. The car running quite soft and really tipping over to the left-hand side. Johnson is pushing super hard, Jeremy.
Yeah, fantastic stuff. A tremendous battle there. It's now for second place because Robin Liddell, I think, is going to check out from here. But that battle for second, third, fourth is ongoing, as is the battle, by the way, in TCR. I think the top 5 nose to tail now, with Mikey Taylor just about holding on to that lead ahead of Denny Dupont and Tyler Gonzalez and Stephen Simpson and Tyler Maxson as well. Great stuff. Tremendous racing. This is what we expect, isn't it, John, from the Michelin Pilot Challenge? It's not disappointing today.
Not at all, and that Bellegarde Technisail, both their drivers and the team have done a cracking job to make sure they were there or thereabouts. Mikey Taylor leading for Unitronic. And that car, don't forget, the Unitronic car was facing the wrong direction at one stage in the early part of the race at turn 1. So they've used guile and tactics. The downhill, turn 7, the downhill, the cars are full 4-wheel flat drifting through that. It's absolutely magnificent. It's like turning the clock back 35, 40 years, watching these cars through there. It's magnificent stuff. Liddell by 1.5 seconds now. 9 minutes to go. Shea, Adam, your thoughts for Michelin moment of the race in TCR and in GS?
TCR for me, Robert Wickens on pole, starting the race and pulling away from the rest of the field. GS, I'm going to say that pass from Liddell.
Jeremy Shaw?
TCR, Michael Johnson was brilliant in the opening stages of this race. I'm going to give a nod to him, and in the overall, crikey, I think probably that pit strategy by number 877, if they can get to the end of the race and hold on to a podium finish, that would be a remarkable effort.
That's a very good call, Jeremy. Yeah, and Shea's chipped in with that as well. Well, we'll keep that. Take that under advisement, as they would say in the courtroom, but I like both of those. And we'll make our final decisions in about 7 or 8 minutes' time. The checkered flag due in 8 minutes and 3 seconds as this battle behind Mikey Taylor for the TCR second and third and fourth and fifth, because the 5th place car is right there now. Tyler Maxson, I said he was a couple of seconds back in the number 77. Well, he isn't now. He's a couple of cars lengths back. And it's rear guard action now for the last 7.5 minutes for Denny Dupont. He's got to just keep the car in exactly the right place. This is massive, massive pressure on Denny Dupont. They've tried to maximise their track position. They've lost the lead now in that green and blue car. But my goodness, they're trying to hang on. Much the same, actually, for second on down in GS. Exactly the same sort of tactics being worked by the 877 team of JG Wentworth Racing. And now they've got the gathering hordes behind them, with Billy Johnson, Trent Hinman and Mike Skeens not that far back either. He's about another 3.5 seconds. So keep an eye open for another, the light-coloured FCP Euro AMG. There is a lapped car between them. That's Andrew Davis, who was very fair, very honourable. Tried to get his lap back when he realised he couldn't do it. He made sure he wasn't going to be an instrumental part of the battle for the lead, either in a positive or a negative sense. 6.5 to go. Liddell has eased away to 3 seconds and takes off the lead diver's boot that he had on earlier on his right foot and puts on a nice thin-soled slipper to just coax that number 71 Urban Grid Rebel Rock Racing Camaro to the end of the race. Liddell in this mood is almost unstoppable. The way that he picks his opportunities. Oh, a little bit of a moment there for Billy Johnson. Got the left-hand side Michelin's on the dirt, coming up over the top of the uphill. That was a moment of great car control from Billy Johnson. Trent Hinman sensed the opportunity. Marvellous. Just great commitment through turn 7, Jeremy.
Brilliant, yeah, drifting that car down through the downhill there onto the front straight is Billy Johnson in 3rd position. There, tremendous stuff. And Trent Hinman, of course, right behind him, the championship leader. So he's a little bit of a nudge there, I think, from Billy Johnson onto the tail of Kyle Marcelli going through Big Bend. But Trent Hinman, look, he's got to look at the big picture here. He's going to make a move to the inside.
Oh, he's not quite there.
No, well, he is.
He's now. I think Billy Johnson is losing traction at the rear of that Mustang. That car's moving around a lot, but you're right, Jeremy. Hinman's got this is and there's the slippery surface or rubbish on the track flag at the top of the hill. I think that was from Johnson last time around. I wonder if Johnson's just got dirt on his tyres after that off-track moment. But you've got to, if you're in that number 7 Volt Aston Martin, you've got to think big picture. 3rd place points now are great and way better than 0 points if you end up in the barriers.
Indeed so, absolutely right. But for Trent Hinman there, that was an interesting pass because big picture-wise now, his championship lead is going to be extended here over Eric Foss. Of course, he's out of this race, and then there's a big gap back to Kenny Murillo and Christian Schimjack.
Yeah, here comes Trent again. He's not content with that position, and he's putting pressure on Kyle Marcelli. Brilliant drive by Marcelli. By the way, Denny DuPont has had to give up 2nd position for Bellegarde Technisale, and Tyler Gonzalez for Van der Steur Racing Veloster is back through into 2nd. Been a good run from that car as well. It's the older Veloster, although running much the same underpinnings as the Elantras. That's been a good run for the number 19 car as well. Big defensive down the inside move from Gonzalez, but Trent Hinman with a bit more grip from the Volt Racing Aston Martin goes round the outside of the Big Bend. He'll have the inside line for the left-hander. He takes 2nd place. Now 5 seconds is the gap to Robin Liddell. He surely can't close that back. He's already put a couple or 3 cars lengths into Kyle Marcelli though. Wow, really, really forceful driver from Hinman. Championship leading car. That's great confidence, isn't it, from Hinman?
Yeah, it really is, and that's going to put him in brilliant shape in the championship. They're going to have a big lead now heading into the final 3 races of the season. That's all that remain after here. We'll go to Road America next, and then VIR, and then, of course, the season finale at Michelin Raceway Road Atlanta. And that team now with this, if they can maintain this position, they've had now 4 podium finishes in the last 5 races. The worst finish they've had is in the season opener at Daytona, where they finished in 7th place. So it's been a really good, consistent season for the number 7 team.
So into the last 2.5 minutes. Kyle Marcelli still on the podium for JG Wentworth. Can they hang on to that? It would be an outstanding run if they can. Meantime, in TCR at the front of the field, Mikey Taylor's been caught by Tyler Gonzalez, and this is the battle for the lead. The lighter coloured of the Hyundais, the Veloster, the car with one door on one side, two on the other, and the hatchback. So yes, it does have 4 doors. It's legal in TCR. In behind the Liquid Moly Unitronics machine, under the Haggerty Never Stop Driving Bridge, and plunging down to turn 7, the final right-hander. They've got another couple or 3 laps to go. And again, the leader feels the need to go up the right-hand side. Across the line, big swing to the left, and the cut back underneath at turn 1, but oh, he has made it. I was going to say, but the leader's parked on it. That's an outstanding manoeuvre. And the leaders changed. They've touched a couple of times. Oh my goodness me, this is getting all arms and elbows. And that is not good driving by Tyler Gonzalez. And he's come off the worst there. Right front wheel has been damaged. Oh, and the left rear. Well, he'd almost got that done there, and I'm not sure it needed to be as much hip and shoulder as it was, Jeremy. And that's a great run for Van der Steur Racing that's come to naught.
Completely agree with you there. He had the pace, even if he'd lost that position again there, which he might have done, having made a brilliant move, as you described, into Big Bend. He just had to be patient. He completely lost his cool there, did Tyler Gonzalez, and he's thrown away a potential win for Van der Steur Racing, and that's a great shame, because up until then it had been a brilliant performance by that youngster.
At the front of the GS field, coming round to start the last lap, Robin Liddell will see the white flag waved on the start-finish line. The white flag is stationary around the back of the circuit for that Van der Steur Racing car. Oh, Frank Depew did his bit at the beginning. Across the line to start the final 1.5 miles. Rebel Rock Racing, and when Robin Liddell is in that kind of mood, he is nigh on unstoppable. He can win from the front, he can win from the back. He loves driving through the field, always seems to find a bit of extra pace when it's needed. He can coax a car if they need to find fuel. The Scotsman from the borders has done it again. He's the Tadej Pogacar of this Michelin Pilot Challenge. He is absolutely on his game today. And it'll be Rebel Rock Racing who will take the victory here this weekend in the Lime Rock Park 120. Trent Hinman coming through to extend the championship lead for Volt Racing in second place, and Kyle Marcelli for JG Wentworth Racing hanging on to third at the moment. But the win goes to Rebel Rock Racing. Let's just watch the second and third coming across the line. Waiting for third, Marcelli, who does hold on for Wentworth. JG Wentworth by half a second. Mike Skeed was right there. And it will be Johnson. It will be Billy Johnson has dropped back to 7th position on that last lap, Jeremy.
Yeah.
JG Wentworth will take the Michelin moment of the race in the 877 for their pit lane strategy to get them onto the podium through to win TCR. Mikey Taylor for Unitronic, JDC Miller Motorsport ahead of Belgard and Techniseal in second. And Stephen Simpson of Michael Johnson Racing in third. What an opening stint by Michael in that start of that race, and that will be the moment of the race for the 54 car. So Jeremy, both of your nominations get the nod for Michelin moment of the race. Let's get some response from down in the pit lane with Shea Adam.
Well, Frank Depew, race winner again in the Michelin Pilot Challenge, Lime Rock Park. This place is just epic to race at, and now race winner. How does it feel?
It feels great. I mean, last year was here for the first time, struggled a bit, went off in turn 1, ended our race. And today, I picked up a bit, but the whole point of my stint was to try to keep the car clean, try to maintain position, give a good car to Robin. And then the crew did an amazing job on the pit stops. Charlie on the perch, the call to take the 2 left side tires at the time that he did put us in an amazing position, and then everything else played out to our favor, and then Robin can drive the wheels off the darn thing.
Yes, he can. Congratulations to you both.
Thanks, Shay.
Oh, that's a very happy man, Frank Depew. And he did exactly the right thing at the start. Great piece of audio early on from Frank Depew. Gives the credit to the crew, Frank, as ever. and to his teammate. Very humble man, but he did his job. Frank, the pits are open, said the crew, but stay out, we're not up to time yet. Frank says, yeah, copy that. Will this be a long or a short yellow? Long one, said the pits. And that was that early thing. Frank playing his part. You can't do it on your own. The car was given to Robin in exactly the right shape that he needed. The pits turned them around. They played the card of when he came in just on an hour to go, remember, Jeremy? And they weren't the car furthest up the standings who'd made that pit stop, but Robin somehow found his way through. Great run for Rebel Rock Racing.
Tremendous run, and for Frank Dupuy, he had a big birthday only a week or so ago, so congrats to him. This is win number 5 in the Michelin Pilot Challenge for Frank. It's win number 14 for Robin Liddell. Super well deserved, a tremendous team performance there by Rebel Rock Racing. They've had their challenges this season. They certainly had some good strong runs, a couple of fastest laps coming into this weekend, and 2 5th place results in each of the last 2 races. So they've been definitely trending in the right direction. Well deserved victory for Robin Liddell. Tremendous drive.
Oh, he's in good form at the moment, is Liddell. Had a good chat with him at Watkins Glen one of the evenings when we were both getting our evening meal and happened to be in the same place at the same time. Oh, and great comradeship there. Carl Marcelli straight over from the JG Wentworth Racing 877 and to congratulate Robin, and they're both reminiscing on that battle, which at the time was for the lead, wasn't it? And that was absolutely superb to see Jeremy down there on the pit lane.
Yeah, it really was. It's always good to see sportsmanship like that, and I think, hats off to all concerned there.
Just to recap then, it is the JG Wentworth Ford Mustang team who get the moment of the race. It wasn't a moment, but their whole strategy. They rolled the dice a little bit, but it's paid off. They didn't get the win, but they've held on for a spot on the podium with great driving by both of their pilots and Carl Marcelli at the end of that race. And in TCR, another of Jeremy's pick, it was Michael Johnson who put them in great position early on the race. Stephen Simpson finished off for the Hyundai Elantra number 54, and they find themselves in 3rd position. Let's go to Shea Adam with Robin Liddell. Sorry, my apologies. It's Mikey Taylor we're going to speak to next. Jeremy, quick look at the points. Volt Racing only second here, three seconds adrift, but I don't think Trent Hinman and Alan Brynjolfsson will be too disappointed. That's good in terms of their championship. Second place always good. Second place even better when it's not one of your major championship rivals ahead of you and the guys you're fighting had bad days.
Absolutely right. It's a brilliant performance really by Trent. I was chatting with him this morning, and he was concerned about tyre wear here. He reckoned they didn't have the fastest car. That would be, you look at the overall lap times for each of the cars, kind of borne out there, but all fairly close apart from the Porsche early on in the race, which was stunning. But yeah, 2,100 points even now for Alan Brynjolfsson and Trent Hinman. So they came in with a 90-point edge. They will leave with a 300-point edge. You get 300 points for a 3rd place finish, by the way, over Eric Foss, who will remain in 2nd position. Kenny Murillo and Christian Zimjak finished 8th today, will remain in 3rd on 1650. And then Robin Liddell, I reckon, will move up into 4th in the points on 1560, just ahead of Stephen McAleer on 1510. So James Pezic and Chad McCumbee will fall back in the points table, as will, of course, Eric Foster. Just lost a lot of ground.
Let's head to Robin Liddell, who's with, with Mikey Taylor, who's with Shea Adam.
Mikey, this win has been a long time coming, and I gotta say, JDC gave you a lot cleaner of a race car than it finished with, but that's what it took to win at Lime Rock, isn't it?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, this place is not called the Bull Ring for nothing. And I mean, we were just doing all we could out there with the tires and everything like that. And people are getting aggressive. I mean, I got hit from behind more times than I can imagine, and more times than I probably hit in any race ever. But we survived. And that just proves testament to the JDC guys. We've had a lot of adversity over the last couple of races with the reliability and everything, but they always do a great job, and we got this thing hooked up this weekend, and it was awesome.
Congrats on finally getting that good luck you've been looking for.
Thank you very much.
Pretty robust fight at the end there with Tyler Gonzalez. Just been having a look at a couple of still shots from that side-by-side contact. I'm not sure that Gonzalez had much to do with the secondary contact coming out of Big Ben, because the rear wheel was already broken and steering the car, which I have to say I didn't notice on live. So I'll put that in there as a bit of mitigation for Tyler. But he certainly came out the worst there, Jeremy. I'm not sure he needed to be that forceful at that point. He pulled off a brilliant manoeuvre going into Big Bend and clearly had a car under him that was very, very quick indeed.
Yeah, but coming off of that corner, you're absolutely right. What we couldn't see was that a little bit of contact coming off the corner, and that is what damaged that right rear corner on the number 19 car for Tyler Gonzalez there. So the contact after that, as you say, was super forceful, but that was probably as a result of that rear suspension having broken.
Correct.
But he probably didn't realise it until he got into the next hand, the left-hand corner there. So
and race control have looked at that, and there will be no further action on that. In TCR, then what does that do for the championship, Jeremy?
Yeah, it'll enable Taylor Hagler and Michael Lewis to extend their lead. In fact, they'll now have 1950 to the 1880 of Roy Block and Tim Lewis Jr. So the championship leaders finished 5th today, whereas the second place car finished 8th. The third place car, that is Robert Wickens. He was in the 6th position today, so loses a little bit of ground to leaders. So at 1950 for Hagler and Lewis, Roy Block and Tim Lewis Jr. on 1880, Robert Wickens on 1850, and Carrick Gottsacker and Parker Chase on 1840. So still very, very close for 4 cars in TCR.
Let's hear from the man who crossed the line first and saw the VP Racing Fuel checkered flag at the head of the field. Robin Liddell for Rebel Rock Racing. What a final 15-20 minutes.
Well, Robin, we talked to Frank right as you were crossing the line. He was all excited and happy, but I can't imagine your emotion in the car at the checker, given how excited you were coming back in the pit lane after 2 cool-down laps.
Yeah, it was kind of crazy, really. I mean, we've been winless for a while. We had a frustrating year last year, and you know, it was great to get the win. We worked really hard for this. The car's been fast of late, and Frank's been getting better and better. And again, he drove a flawless stint in the opening stint, which is, I told him, round here especially, that's absolutely what you need to do. But then I proceeded to get in the car, and every panel's bashed and dented. It was a crazy carve-up race. So every restart and everything, we were just nose to tail, nip and tuck, 3 abreast, and some great guys out there that I was battling with, Trent and Mike Skeen and a load of guys, and Kyle there at the end. So what you guys didn't see, some of what was going on back in the pack so much earlier on, which was just a massive carve up. But it was a very exciting race, and obviously we came out on top, and we couldn't be happier.
It's not your first win, but I bet you're going to remember this one for a while. Congrats, Robin.
Thank you.
Oh yes, we saw quite a lot of that as well. Robert Liddell saying exactly what we said about Frank Depew. Thank you for being with us here at Lime Rock Park. It was Jeremy Shaw and me, John Hindhaugh, in the Haggerty Global Broadcast Centre. Shea Adam in the pit lane. Rebel Rock Racing come out on top of GS, and it's Unitronic JDC Miller Motorsport for Audi in TCR. Tim Gray was our producer and engineer up in London. Our thanks to Charlotte and NASCAR Productions for our pictures, and all of our camera operators, of course, here at the circuit. Don't go too far away. Super Saturday continues as we go WeatherTech Racing later this afternoon, and it's live here on IMSA Radio and IMSA TV.